welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello everyone, hi. Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night. We're broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I'm your host, Don Yazzie. With me, my co-host, Darren Yazzie. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Man, really gotta love that. Really gotta like that intro, man. I need to work on my radio voice to match that.
Yep. You gotta work on that. No, damn, for real, huh? Let's see here. Okay, guys. A friendly reminder, we got a Dare Bear over here. It's gonna get cold soon. If you guys want your uncle to tell you some scary stories while he fixes your electric, if you have any faulty plugs at your house, he'll help you out. No, just kidding. But today we're bringing back Chris Archer, previous guest, and if you guys remember that episode he was on, feel free to ask any questions that you guys may have for him and help us out. Other than that, we just let the show go on, just freestyle everything. Okay. There's any announcements you want to make before we bring on the guest of honor?
Let's see. Yeah. Made it through another season. This week was my birthday, so my family came by. I'm happy, always happy to see my family. Well, my younger brother came by too. He gave me a little tech support on a little 1-2 on the lighting and helped me out with this laptop that I got. So, kudos. Thank you, Brian.
Oh yeah,
that's
happy birthday!
Happy hope you guys enjoy.
Darren. Oh yeah, right here, Carla Washington. Hello, Don and Darren. What's up, Carla? Vet Girl 84. Hello, all. Nice cat picture. NJ, hey, what's up? Hello, everybody. NJ, how's it going, NJ? And let's see here. Melody Alvarez, hello.
Hey, Mo.
Mr. Curly, what's up, Double D?
Mr.
Playing
Curly.
bingo at Bijaz and listening. Oh, hey, nice. Went big for us. Went big for us. That's good. Z Sun Dragon, hi, Don. Hi, Darren. What's up, Z Sun Dragon? Jody McLeod, hello, everyone. What's up, Jody McLeod? Thanks for joining us. Kurt W75. Hey, Don, Darren. Great to see you, gents. Happy birthday, brother.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yo, NJ, happy birthday. Oh, Dreamweaver. Hello, guys. What's up, Dreamweaver?
Hey, what's up, man?
Joe Andy McLeod. Happy birthday. You're welcome. Oh, yeah.
You're welcome. And Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Okay, so without further ado, we shall bring on Mr. Chris Archer. Ta-da!
Oh yeah,
Flash.
Wow.
It's good to see you guys.
Oh man, how's it going over there up north? Or
it's getting chilly. Yeah, it's getting chilly already. Yeah, leaves are pretty much not completely all gone, but they're dropped. It was about 6 degrees today. It's pretty chilly. Geese are everywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You sent me a picture of his lake, and then there's a full moon right there. I'm like, oh man, eat your heart out type of deal. Like, yeah. You know what? Just for that picture, I'm gonna call that North Montana is looking beautiful tonight. I almost text that, Chris. Almost. I was just kidding.
Awesome.
I take that back to our Canadian listeners. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know, there's a lot of Canucks, I'm sure, that are kind of wanting us to be like a North Montana. So
I just only got that from Meet the Robinsons. But go ahead, Darren. Sorry.
Yeah, they have Canadian geese. I worked out there in Kansas City. Man, those things are just everywhere. And, you know, one of the guys at work that lived there, he's like, "Have you ever find yourself in a quarrel with one? Take the knees out. Geese have weak knees, I guess." So, like, oh well, I might have to, you know, go in 1 or 2 rounds with the geese. So
that's funny.
You guys ever get those? What do you call it? Northern Lights out there?
Oh, all the time. Oh yeah,
man. Yeah, that's something I always wanted to see, but lately,
yeah, it's pretty spectacular. This week, actually, we've seen them 3 nights out of the 7, so there must be some magnetism going on there. Yeah, solar magnetism.
I seen the news that the solar shot off like a flare at that A1 Atlas. You know, I don't know if that's legit or if it's just fake news. You know, but there's definitely all kinds of things going on right now.
Yep,
amazing time we're living in. Obviously.
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah, we
so,
made it past the second rapture, I guess, huh? I don't know.
Oh man,
right.
Yeah, we made it past, or we just didn't make it. I don't know.
My breath for that one, so.
Yeah. It was that September 20. Is it
23rd, 24th, something like that.
Yeah, and you know, I was telling my sister like, don't worry about that. You know, that thing's been going on for years, now. That date, you know. So I was like, last year it was an upcoming comment or some stuff like that. You know, like they have it in like Stephen King. You know, a couple other movies, Knowing. And you know, I thought about it, and you know, like, no, that's not right. That's not how it's supposed to happen. You know, there's a lot of other stuff that's supposed to be set, you know, before the rapture. So I was like, well, it is what it is. So we're still here. It's still good. We still got a lot to talk about.
At the end of the day, everyone just needs to read the Bible. You know, no one doesn't know the day, the hour. Even Jesus Christ says he doesn't know. So everyone go back to reading the Bible.
For sure.
On the side note, this is Chris's episode, and Chris, feel free to go back into your furthest episode, and you know, just try to brush up if you want.
Sure. I don't even know where we really left off.
Oh man, we left off at Darren's girl, the Exorcist look.
You know? Yeah, man. Don, he sent me a couple of pictures of it, and I was like, oh man, that's messed up. That's messed up. I wouldn't want to see nothing like that in the trees for sure.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
But where did we leave? I leave off at Little People, I think.
Oh geez,
yeah. Little People, and we're gonna get into the Wendigo. And the Mark of the Beast, and that one crown that was around early, you know, that famous crown. That shall not be named.
That shall not be named.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems the Mark of the Beast thing is kind of apt for right now, just because of everything that's happening recently. Crown won 9 times. I was seeing things lead up to that before 2019. Although I was watching stuff like Palantir and Peter Thiel, who is buddies with Vance and stuff, which is really, really kooky because even Peter Thiel is talking about the Antichrist. I don't know. That alone is strange. But pre-2019, I was watching, this is even when Obama was still the president. I was noticing with AI computation, the D-Wave stuff in particular. So we're talking about an adiabatic computer that was at that time tied into CERN. And during that time, so we're talking 2015, 2016, from my standpoint as an ex-occultist, I was seeing what they were looking for, the human algorithm, so to speak. What makes us tick as a flock of humans, pretty much. So they don't have to do a lot of false flags anymore. They're looking for that perfect algorithm for control. I started seeing this, and then when the carnivorous 1-9 came around, it didn't take me long. I tagged into, or it was like late January, February 2020 is when I had noticed that there was a lot of occult ritual into this entire situation, including the name. And a lot of occultism is like a club in a way, and there's compartmentals, right? There's these guys that like to do this thing. There's these guys, they don't necessarily have to know. And there's the adepts on top that kind of run the show. Those are the people you usually never know. But even the name, Corona, we'll just say Corona because it's not naming anything, but that means crown, right? And the protein was a spike, right? They called it a spike protein. And spike, spinous, spica in Latin, spine, spiny, spike, thorny. So already you have a blasphemous crown of thorns, illness, right?
Wow.
And then when I started to see the masks come out and the lockdown, well, the masks for me was an automatic. It's the first time in history where we mask the healthy, not mask the sick. Made no sense. This wasn't science. Of course, they didn't have any inoculations at that time, but I'm sure they already had that on the ready. And so the name broke it down for me, and I was watching about the mask. And the mask, to me, made a vesica Pisces on the face, which is, when you're getting into gematria, you're going to get into different symbols, stuff like that. And with the spike, the protein, so you've got basically the vesica Pisces on your face, which is a mask, right? Which is vaginal. And you have a phallus symbol in the spike that gets trapped in the mask. So already there's a huge sexual ritual in this. And the lockdown part also is almost like a slavery. So you've got these undertones and shadows to this thing. And the lockdown, it was like a walking ritual, this whole thing. And it was, well, hundreds of millions participated unknowingly. And it was almost, what it was doing is inducing trauma into people. And then you saw the separation of families. Families would argue over, please don't do this, or if you don't get the inoculation, then you're killing grandma. There was no middle ground. And one side was extremely vitriolic if you did not want to get inoculated, and one side was just trying to say, look, can you just at least please think about this, because this isn't a typical inoculation. This science is brand new, and all the animal trials for this mRNA stuff resulted in death in those animals. A lot of people got it. A lot of people are paying the price, unfortunately. That the philosophy behind this was very, very ritualized. Now, how did they get there? Now, I'm going back to this human algorithm thing and this adiabatic computer and computation. And the founder, I think he's the CEO of D-Wave Computers, he's a Canadian dude named Jordy Rose. And when he speaks about this adiabatic computer, he speaks of it in the form of a tsunami of demons, like being in the presence of the old gods. Now, that's some spooky stuff for a science techie dude, right? What in the world are you talking about? This computer works outside of dimension. It's absolutely mind-blowing what it does. So all this going on, I'm trying to piece things together, and I'm trying to look into the future on when they're going to make this specific inoculation, what it's going to entail. I don't want to get into this, preaching about who gets it, who doesn't get it. But to me, it was the precursor to the Mark of the Beast system. I'm not saying that tech is the mark of the beast at all. I think what's coming is. So during this time now, we're going closer to 2019 and 2020. The technology for inoculations now is something that is called a microneedle array. It's even farther in the nanotech now than just a simple microneedle array, and it looks like a patch, almost like a nicotine patch or a type 2 diabetes patch. But this particular inoculation, the technology is you can put it on your skin. These nanoneedles will go into you, basically dissolve, and that's it. You're done. It can, and they do have the technology to upload, so to speak, a third strand of DNA, empty DNA, and it's fully uploadable. So you don't have to get another shot, so to speak. You can just upload whatever's new. Now, this to me is getting a little bit scary. With the transhumanism stuff that's going on, when you got all these players like Bill Gates, you get this Peter Thiel guys, and you get you can see this movement that's not just localized, say, in North America. This is a global thing, and each continent is preaching the same thing during this whole 2019 to 2023 thing that we went through. It was a script that somebody was following, and somebody gave the orders to everybody's going down with this. All the world leaders were speaking the same thing. And if you spoke out against it, you were canceled. You can't say this. You can't talk about it. I've never seen anything like that in my time. To me, there's a lot of occult overtones here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even with this beast system, it is very, very much real. And, there are people that work in the dark, as people kind of look at it as almost a sci-fi, or, like, oh, yeah, you're just a conspiracy theorist. But,
You're right.
at a certain point, everything kind of has these conspiracy theorists always come back with, some type of fact, some type of fact with it. And, for all the Bible readers and, the Christian people out there, the mark of the beast, it's written in the Bible, and it says that everybody is going to have this, is going to be required to have this mark, so
Right.
there's gonna be one
UK. They're already doing that in the
yeah,
UK right now. Sorry to
one
interrupt you.
yeah, just the one money order, one world order.
Yeah.
They talk about this all over the place, and I'm pretty sure this the Antichrist, they came, they're always here. There's always going to be one that's going to say, oh, I'm God, the new God, or lead away from the true teaching. But one thing that you can set yourself apart from this is actually just read the Bible. That's all you can do.
That's right.
Set the facts down, and there are going to be people out there that's going to say false prophets. You would say, people that's going to be like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Like we were talking about earlier. The rapture. There's a lot of people talking about it, and like nothing happened. I was like,
yeah.
So like not to call them, call those people out, but people can just set themselves apart more by just reading the Bible and understanding it a bit more. And this world is run by money, and it's done powered by our current system.
Real quick, well, let's go back to the cult side of this thing. I seen a thing on I can't remember what channel I was watching on YouTube that like it goes back to the American side of it, the way it's designed. I guess when the president gets inaugurated, he stands in line with the obelisk. The obelisk.
Yeah, there's a lot of obelisks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then that represents Osiris's manhood, right?
That's right. Do you know the story about Osiris? Yes. Well, Osiris and Horus. It's really the Horus thing because he was completely dismembered into 13 pieces. And one of those 13 pieces was his phallus, right? And then, we don't have to get into the whole story about how his progeny came, but the big obelisk in Washington is exactly that. And you'll see a lot of those things, a lot of statues and stuff like that.
Because they want Osiris to come back in and possibly through the president, right? That's one of the things that I've seen, that he's hoping that he gets possessed by the obelisk, because they're waiting for Osiris to return back into the earth. So with every American president, they're doing the rituals. That's why they already pick out who's the president ahead of time. So you know, it gets very strange, but that's why we got you here.
It does. And that's why I was still concentrating on just the name alone of this supposed illness that hit the world, right? And so the 19 supposedly stood for the year 2019. Well, the first letter in the alphabet is A, and the 9th is I. So now you have the crown of thorns, AI. Going on to what the mark is supposed to be, if you read scripture, you're supposed to, who that gets it, you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't do anything without this mark. I was already seeing this trend and talking pre-2019 about they're going to eventually very soon try to crash the market, because they are going to institute a digital ID and a digital currency. And I think the blockchain technology has everything to do with that. And I think a lot of that has to do with Peter Thiel and his ilk and all that kind of stuff as well. So when I'm studying scripture and I'm going back to how does the blood of Christ redeem people, and what is not redeemable with the mark, because it says there in Revelation that those who take the mark, they're done. There's no coming back from that. So what in the historicity of humankind has not been able to be redeemed by the blood of Christ? And that only brings up one instance, going back to the flood, when angels fell from heaven, they interbred with humans, which was never supposed to happen, and their offspring were the Nephilim, and they didn't come out giants, but they grew into giants. And I think that has a huge tie-in with Greek mythology and the Titans. And then God lamented and he lamented making humankind because of what we'd become. And it seems like the flood came about because there was very few people of pure blood left that wasn't infected by this angelic and human DNA crossing. And to me, that wasn't redeemable at all. He wiped them out. And going back to when you read like the book of Enoch and what the angels had taught humankind, and then what their progeny did, the Nephilim, and how vile they were, not only into bestiality and matricide, and they were just bloodlust creatures. So what about this mark? If a Satanist right now in our time can repent and have a true change of heart and have Christ into his heart, and that pure DNA, right, and his blood cover us, what else can't be? Like, that didn't make sense to me. So I was hoping I was wrong, that new technology somehow would have this Nephilim DNA inside it. And if you take this, that's why you're unredeemable, because now you're a hybrid. You're back to something in the days of Noah that should have never been. So now you've got your digital person, you've got your currency, you've got your health all in one patch. And you've got this empty strand of DNA uploading what? And if it is the mark of the beast and you do change, that to me would make sense, where you are no longer redeemable by the blood of Christ. Because you are now infected, not just with the sin thing that happened back in the garden, right? That's taken care of. Can be if you choose to, and it really happens. But now you've got this Nephilim DNA. And when you look at the CERN, everything with the occult that's going on, the undertones, I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic about this. I don't believe in coincidence when it comes to these things, just from my experience. And again, when you're reading the 666, well, that gets into a bit of science. And I mean, that's pretty much not just the image of the beast, but what is the image? What was the image of God when he created us? To what is the image of the beast going to be? Is there a correlation there? Is there a similar image? I think the AI technology has tapped into, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe these beings have tapped into it. And because the enemy cannot be omnipresent, as God is omnipresent, AI is a great facsimile to be omnipresent, to be like God, to be everywhere, but you cannot be. So there's a lot of crossovers that gets me cringing.
Yeah.
So will this Antichrist be human? Fully human? I don't know. Or will it be a hybrid? I mean, the 666 alone is pretty much a carbon, isn't it? 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons make carbon. That's what we are. That's what humans are. So if it's saying, I don't know, there's just so much to delve into. I don't want to go down too deep of a rabbit hole. But
6 cents.
You're right. And when we're talking about what's going on, you see what Vietnam just did recently. Tens of millions of bank accounts frozen. They're going for it. UK with Keir Starmer, he just said you won't be able to work unless you have your digital ID. Switzerland now it's trying to roll it out too. It's happening very, very quickly. And again, here's this world global thing where it's just like there's this script and everybody's just trying to go along with it. Right. Spooky times.
So,
quick question there. Oh, real quick there. I seen a video of someone like drawing occult sigils, like demonic sigils, and then showing AI how the motherboard is, and the new technologies, basically demonic symbols inside of there. Do you know anything about that?
I wouldn't doubt it. I haven't gone too deep. I don't know how far down the rabbit hole I want to go. I think I'm meant to notice and go from there. I don't know how deep I want to get. I don't know if I need to get that deep because I don't need to. I'm not sure if I need to be sidetracked like that. I think I still have to keep my faith that focused. So if there's chatter over here, I don't really want to turn and look. I can notice it and I can talk about it, but do I want to pay it too much mind? No, I got bigger things that I got to keep here so I don't get off track. And I think it's easy for everybody to get off track and dive into a rabbit hole. As long as you got a tether where you can grab yourself and get back out, I think that's safe. But it does make you wonder. I mean, every time you ask a question, it seems there's more questions than answers.
Yes,
all the time.
That's just the idea of the rabbit hole. You know, you ask questions, then you ask more questions, then you just keep further and further. But as for this AI, you know, I heard a lot about it too a couple of years ago, and they were bringing it up like it was its own entity. You know, like they were saying, you know, instead of this, you know, this technology, it said it, you know. Like why do you guys call it it? You know, like what's the whole idea of you bringing it as a being in itself? And you know, just the whole idea of an AI, you can't have free speech now. Even on your cell phone, you would sit there, you know, like my brother and I would sit there and we talk about, you know, like a crossbow or something, and then we look up, we open up our phone, and then all this, you know, things for a crossbow, like what the heck, you know, like obviously we are being monitored and observed, you know, more or less by who, you know, that's another. Keep asking questions, and you're gonna keep getting an answer, but you're gonna get more questions, you know. So at the end, I think people just need to, you know, turn technology off and just worry about stuff that worry about what's going on in your your life right now, instead of looking on and seeing more uh, more hoopla on the website, like Facebook, false media. I think the worst idea for the how you say it, propaganda. Uh, media sources like this, they can feed
Don't watch the news too
millions.
much.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Too much.
Yeah, worry about your own world instead of what's going on around you. You go around and you see people, you talk to them, and communicate in a natural way instead of
Yeah.
worrying about um, worldly stuff like this. It's good to worry, but once it starts consuming you, then that's a whole different can of worms.
Yes,
And I think
sir.
that's
And
the mind that they want us all in, is so we don't figure this out.
Right,
I mean,
right, yeah,
yeah,
the worst case scenario for them is to people to be faithful.
right,
Hmm.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
what they don't want, So
Hey,
Yeah.
Darren, we got a Z Sun Dragon. Happy birthday wishes to you.
oh yeah, thank you, thank you.
And Z Sun Dragon says, "Hi, hobo."
Hey, how are ya?
Kurt W75. Chris, great to see you, buddy.
How are ya?
Mr. Curly, the sun always sends off flares. Indeed. Indeed. Z Sun Dragon, Camp Bellington, New Brunswick, Canada. Here we see them. I think they're talking about the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mr. Curly, amen. Yes, sir. Amen.
Awesome.
Mary Magdalene Nathan Yazzie. Hello from Unit 5, Pine Hill, New Mexico. Hello. What's up,
Right
Pine
back
Hill?
there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, War Cry Podcast. What's going on, fellas? What's up, man?
going?
How's Oklahoma
Yeah.
doing down there?
Yeah, I seen
Oh,
that
yeah.
too. I seen that
Oklahoma.
podcast. I might, I'm gonna look into it. For due
Yeah,
diligence.
yeah. We're
So
trying to bring him on, but he's playing hard to get. I like at least Chris. He stood us up. Then when the show was over, he texts back and he's like, "Hey, I was just kidding. I wasn't gonna show up. I forgot to tell you. Just kidding. No, I was just kidding. I'll play it. I'll play. He did not say that. Everyone
I did
did
not.
not say that. Renee C. Hello, everyone. What's up, Renee C? And let's see here. Yeah, I hear water splashing as well. Z Sun Dragon says, I hear water splashing. I do too. I thought it was just me. I'm like, okay. I'm hearing voices other than hosts and guests. I am too. I'm hearing all kinds of
Here you
stuff.
go.
I'm ignoring it. Oh,
On your
okay.
seatbelt.
Hey, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
uh,
Z Sun Dragon. Can't believe the other news sources these days. Oh yeah. JP, great to see you all. What's up, JP? Likewise, great to have you here. Let's see. Never mind talking about it's creepy when the algorithms tap into your thoughts. Yeah, it does. It does. Kind of weird. It's echo in the mic. Okay. All right. Thank you.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah, I
have
heard
to-
about that too. It's like they brought in an episode. I remember an episode from like Futurama where the main character was getting commercials in his dreams, and I heard them talking about
What?
doing this too, and I was like, what the heck? Like, damn, wow. I guess get commercials of shorts
Oh
in our
man.
dreams. It'd be weird, bro.
I
But
get melatonin. I get that. Uh
but
hey, Chris. We'll let you go on again. Go ahead.
Sure.
yeah,
So just to continue with the AI part of it, it seems everything is going to be directed. I do believe personally, I can't prove this. I think the entire scenario from the 2019 issue, I think that whole thing before they moved with it was pumped into an AI computer to get the outcomes they want. I think they pumped it all into this is the outcome we want. How do we go about doing this effectively? And I think it's sped out a pile of different scenarios. This is how you go about it. And this is what they did. Thankfully, it didn't completely work. I do think that was a beta test. I do think that shot was a beta test. I think the next thing that's coming up is going to tie not only your ID, your health, and your currency all together. And without it, you're going to be screwed. I think that anything that you owe, I think that is a tether for them to manipulate you to easily sign over, or they can call in your debts, or they can call in your mortgage. But what if you don't owe? What if you have no mortgage? What if you've paid off your home, paid off your truck? Perhaps they'll do something that they did during the Second World War. Perhaps they will overinflate your home value. Say that your home was worth $400,000, and now it's worth $2.5 million because they say so. And then they say, "Can you pay the tax?" And you, of course, probably can't. So they take it, or you sign over, take the patch. Wow. How many people are going to willingly go with it? It will be a choice, but it's not the choice that's going to damn you. It's going to be that shot. What is inside this new tech that's coming that's going to possibly, I think we're very close. I'm not saying if it's going to come in the next 10 years, that is the one. I think that we are definitely leading up to this technology. Well, it will, and the transhumans are going to love it. It's not robots or cyborgs, so to speak. I think it will be a hybrid human, right? I don't believe it will be like a CRISPR being, possibly. Will it be a 3D printed being? Possibly. I don't know at this point. I don't even know that if Israel rebuilds a third temple, are we talking a real brick and mortar third temple? Or are we talking a 3D printed third temple? Or are we talking a virtual third temple? I don't know. I do know that the technology now, they can convert DNA into binary code or ternary code. This should be terrifying people about what they can do and what they are willing to do. Are they going to do it? Well, the whole thing about the occult is with all these tiers of people, they don't have to believe it. They just benefit from it. It's the same as Masons and Freemasons. There's several levels, and there's a lot of them don't know that it's just a fraternity. It's just a fraternity. It's just a club. But there are those that pass the test and become adepts that answer the questions differently than most people. And those are the people that move up higher, right? So when you're talking about, I don't believe there's a politician on the planet that isn't compromised in some way. I don't think you're allowed to be. I don't think you're allowed to be. You're either part of the club or not part of the club, which means they got something on you, and it's going to be something very, very damning. Now we're seeing the compression of the damning material not being allowed out. The Epstein files. What was Epstein into? Epstein and Les Wexner, you can just search that on your own. And then you got the Paladin guy, Peter Thiel, involved in that too. Why is that information being compressed into a little nugget and kept from us? It was the Democrats at one point that were screaming, we can't let it out. And then it came out, and now it's the other side saying, oh, we can't let it out. What are you hiding? I'm sure it's a lot deeper than just plain sex trafficking and stuff like that. I think it's a lot deeper. I think it's a lot more nefarious, and I think it's a lot more global.
People.
Yeah. And they're sick people, right? But they are part of the club, right?
Good old boys club.
Good old boys club. The guy we got in Canada now who's leading things. He was Trudeau's little puppet master. Trudeau was just a little dog on a leash. He was never anything of any consequence. He was doing exactly what he was told by the WEF. That's all he was doing. Just a little putz, right? But this Carney guy, he's a banker. He's definitely a Freemason. He was in the UK. Look at the UK now after he left. The UK is in shambles. Absolute shambles. They're about to fall if this keeps up. And now Keir Starmer wants them. You're going to have a digital ID or you're not going to work. And now my own countrymen and women vote in this Carney. Carney, like a carnival guy, right? That's exactly what he is. But he's part of the club. But he was Trudeau's handler. And when Trudeau was in and won all the terms that he did, we were all talking, if this guy gets in, if his handler gets in, there's going to be big trouble. Because this guy's actually smart. Trudeau's just a coattail riding idiot. Look at him now. He's like the Katy Perry thing, right? I don't know if they're still dating, but how predictable is that? One Illuminati freak with another little puppet, right? Who looks like Castro. Are they related? Sure looks like it, but I don't know. But you don't get in the club unless they got stuff on you, right? His marriage didn't last long.
Yeah.
As soon as he became Prime Minister of Canada, he screwed that up, right? Anytime there was an issue during the lockdown stuff, he buggered off to BC. Didn't want to talk, didn't want to be nothing. Yet peaceful protests that happened in Ottawa with the truckers, there was families there, nothing happened. Oh, they got the cavalry out, the guys on horseback to intimidate, and then those guys were demonized. But you can have people like Antifa flipping out, burning stuff down, beating that. I mean, it's pandemonium. But there's that old Mason thing, right? Order out of chaos. I'm sure they're just loving the chaos because we need to be divided, right? That's what they want. They want a camp. Whether it's a camp that you at one point made an issue with, sooner or later, they want you to pick a camp because division is their power. And it looks like they're doing pretty good, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. This is I always been into these. I always looked up conspiracy. Stuff like this. I always looked it up, and I've always been that one myself with my brothers, telling them, "Oh yeah, this is gonna happen. This is happening. Like, look at this." Sharing up with the whole P Diddy stuff. I told them about all this. Like years ago, and they laughed about it. I'm like, yeah, all right. Calm down. Go be that crazy guy in the trees. But
Go
all
put
of a
the
sudden,
tinfoil hat on.
right, exactly. And then it came out, and then I was like, see, I told you, I told you, I hate to be that guy, but like I've been, seemed like that guy that was just spinning something, but at the end, everything pops up, and I have my own my ideas on who this antichrist person is, and I've been kind of warned about it too. Back, I always keep an eye out, and but that I'll talk more about that later. But this is your show. But man, you are really dropping some information. And that's
you just
really
reminded me of something because I did the same thing. So when my kids were younger, very young, I used to show them things in cartoons that shouldn't be there, shouldn't be in a kids program, and they were starting to notice, like, why is that there? I'm like, ask yourself, why is that there? And then one of my children came home with, she was listening to Drake, and I was like, turn that crap off, Will. Yeah, I can't deal with that. That's horrible stuff, man. And she's like, no. I said, well, and I got really weird. I got really real. And I said, well, these guys in hip hop are amongst everybody else. I said, but specifically hip hop, these men have to be feminized before they make it. You understand what I'm saying? And she's like, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is back in 2014. I said, these men are feminized before they can make it. I said, you mark my words. You'll learn one day. It'll happen. You'll figure it out, or something will happen. And unfortunately, now the Diddy stuff, and how many of these rap artists are exactly feminized?
Yeah,
which a sad situation.
Yeah, I've been telling the same thing I was telling my brother about. All those guys are they have to go through some
initiation.
Man, yeah, and sure enough, all this stuff started popping up, and I was, like, I hate to say it, but like, who's crazy now? Like who like I can't really do anything but just sit there and kind of laugh about it. So, but yeah, man, it seems like the world is living in chaos. Everything everywhere seems to be separated. There's a great division among us.
Yes,
and
huge.
Some form of illusion that's being played in front of everybody.
I think you're exactly right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Z right here, we got real quick, we got Z Sun Dragon here says that same thing. Yes, they like to divide cultures, race, and countries. Oh yeah. Control with digital recognition sounds like. Oh, okay. Right here it says yes, Chris. And they may have plugged into or included what went down 100-ish years ago last time something like that went down. like like history repeats itself type of deal? Is that like in a strange way? Maybe.
Yep.
You know what? I've always pondered that. I'm not sure. Does history repeat itself, or does the system just never change? I'm not sure, man. I think it's the latter. I think the system doesn't change. It's the system that we repeat. I don't think history repeats. I think if we change the system, things will change. But we keep falling in line with the same thing, marching to the same drummer. And it's always the same thing. It doesn't matter if 500 years pass. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Right. It's the same music, just playing in a different tone.
Yeah.
It seems like, yeah, that that is very much true. Like you would hate to say it, like, yeah, oh yeah, we learned from the past, but
yeah.
then again,
I wish
we're getting
learn.
played again.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. Chris, if you want, I don't know if we covered everything from your knowledge from the occult or seen what's going on, because we need a watchman like yourself that's going on, the things that we're not paying attention to, or the things that people need to pay attention to from the Native American country. Like we all need to watch out, be careful, and
yes,
keep our eyes open. But Chris, I want to ask you, like, like one of the well-known things out there in Canada is the Wendigo. And I know you guys have a lot of accounts and a lot of books on that account experiences, all that stuff up there. Would you like to share with us?
Sure. I've never had an experience with Wendigo, thank goodness. It is. I think it stems from a lot of Algonquin, definitely Cree as well. I do have an old book. I'm going to have to locate this. I think I mentioned this to you. I got two. One's called, I think it's called the Peace River Chronicles, and I think the other one's called Athabasca Country. And they're old books. They're about this thick. They're hardcover, and it's about all the accounts of the peoples that came here, explorers and stuff, and what they've seen in their interactions and their diary logs of their all over the Canadas that they went. And in several accounts, there are accounts where they came across native tribes and people that were possessed by Wendigo. Fascinating stories. But it is matter of fact. They're writing down like May 22nd, and it's like a diary entry of what they saw. And these are terrifying real events. Among some of these books as well, I think there's 3 or 4 different accounts where they've seen what we would call cryptids. These aren't really cryptids, but they saw whiskey barrel size prints in the snow going through the valleys. And they did catch sight of them on 2 occasions, and they were mammoths. And this is in the 1800s. Freaky. But the Wendigo things, from what I don't know a ton, but I have heard some stories that it's more of like a possession. I'm not sure if the depiction of the skinny, gaunt creature with the antlers is an actual description, or if it's a description of the traits that the people that are possessed by the Wendigo go through. There seems to be a link between cannibalism and Wendigo, which is frightening as hell, right? Those are terrifying stories. But the ones that I have read and that ones I have been told is the person knows that they are possessed by the Wendigo. And there's a few of these stories in this book where this woman, she's tied up and she is screaming that you only have a certain amount of time to cut my head off and burn me, or it's going to take over. And apparently if it takes over after the grave as well. You have to dismember and burn, but you have to do it for a certain time. And if you don't do it, it's a recurring thing even after death. That's frightening stuff, frightening stories, right? But terrifying stuff. But there is a close connection with cannibalism. And I have heard some other people's thoughts on it, saying like the Wendigo stories came about because of tough times pre-colonization, when they were starving and they would have to resort to cannibalism. I've never heard any of those stories from any of my people at all. Not to say it didn't, I don't know. But I tend to not think that that's where those stories came from. I can't see them being hyperbolic over a boogeyman in the forest. Either something happened, or this is real, or it's a boogeyman story. And I don't think it's a boogeyman story, especially with these books I have. These are white folks that came over here and exploring and seen with their own eyes, like this is real stuff. So that is it does kind of remind me of Skinwalker stuff, but I don't know a lot about Skinwalker stuff. From what I've been told about Skinwalkers is almost like a perfect possession that you willingly take on. Somebody had once told me that you have to sacrifice a loved one first. I don't know if that's true. That's terrifying if that is true. But it's like a perfect possession that you are willingly wanting to be inhabited by whatever spirit gives you the power to be a Skinwalker. I certainly hope that's not the truth, because that's horrifying.
From the stories that I've heard, is a bit of everything, and also it's passed down genetically through the family line. And,
really?
You know, yeah, like there's stories of kids like shapeshifting and making it to point A to point B, and they don't remember how they got there.
Is that right?
Certain times of the night, certain times of the night, they wouldn't be in their room, and their family would be looking around, and they would find them 100 yards running, just running fast supernaturally to where they would see a gentleman at one community, and they would drive to another, and he'd be there at another community, and they would drive another place, he'd be at another community. And the Navajo Nation is very, very, very stretched out.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's very common. And sometimes they would be shifting into like a ball, like a weird orb, and they'll be bouncing around, and then they'll be chasing whoever in a vehicle, and when that vehicle stops, they would see that person running up beside them and asking them, why did you guys leave me? Why did you guys you guys just left me? I'm trying to tell you guys to say stop. I'm trying to say stop. You guys won't listen to me. And they're like, no, you were in an orb. You were like a ball of orb. You were inside of it, and you were bouncing up and down. So just strange accounts like that happen.
That's so interesting you mentioned orbs, because now I'm thinking about different Bigfoot encounters I've read or have been told when there's a correlation between Bigfoot and orbs. So are there cases of some of these accounts where perhaps these aren't Bigfoot, perhaps they are skinwalkers? If there's an orb connection? Because the whole Bigfoot thing, I've shifted completely. When I used to think it was just a flesh and blood creature, I'm not so sure if it is anymore. I think there's a lot more paranormal or preternatural to it than we like to admit. But that's really interesting. You mentioned orbs and skinwalker. Is there a connection as well? I don't know.
Man, there's so much stuff that are just really odd. Just this world is a lot more mysterious than everybody tends to believe. Even with this Bigfoot guy, the Sasquatch, it's been he has his name in our language. He has a name in our culture, and some people, like sometimes they see UFOs afterwards, and then Bigfoot shows up, or stuff like that. So it makes you. It's kind of hard to say if there's really an expert out there, because it seems like there's always something new. There's always something new popping up, and just weird stories that people account. One that I looked up is a Bigfoot riding on a red balloon. Two of them. What he's like what are you supposed to do? Yeah, like what are you supposed to do with that? Like where do you categorize stuff like this? And even these orbs. Some people say that these are some type of data gathering areas. So when these orbs pop up, these Bigfoot go by, and they go there to pick up that data that's lingering around. So there's you really can't really be picky, with it. But obviously, the only thing that is real is people are seeing it. It is running around. That is very much real. It's not a myth. People are seeing these Bigfoot. Some of them, just as common as my sister seen one walking across the road. That's just like that. Or other people like myself have and my mother having our own encounter with two of them. You know, like it just gets weirder and weirder. Like you said, this rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper. I'm pretty sure there's some type of connection between everything that's going on. You know, so. But yeah, right there. I go read the comments right there, and
Oh yeah,
we'll
we
get
got
back to
a
it.
crazy. Oh yeah, we got a just real quick here. We got Crazy Coyote 1313. I've got $10 saying we are being gaslit by the government to accept Bigfoots in the media started in the 70s.
Yeah,
Maybe not. And Z Sun Dragon, yeah, system keeps getting worse. It sure does. Von Koshill, God on Lake, what did I miss? Chris, let's start back over to the beginning. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
Hit rewind.
Oh yeah, for you, Vaughn, we will start back over. I was just kidding. Crazy Coyote 1313 got one better. Ever heard the Hadrian Collar? Because the
Collider.
end of the world in 2012, and we were inside a black hole, meaning we were already dead. Earth is just playing a recording on repeat. Oh, we're already on a dead Earth. It's just playing a recording on repeat. Huh. Interesting. Parallel universe
yeah,
type of deal. Sounds
that's
like
what
Mm.
they're saying with that colliding the atoms
it.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
I looked up to that too, and
Oh,
they're talking about like a good example is that, oh man, what was that guy's name? Uh, that Mandela effect or whatnot.
Oh, the
You know,
Mandela
they,
effect.
they
Yeah.
try to bring
oh,
that up. Yeah, so I guess that's some type of proof. You know, I'm not an expert to this. I just looked up some weird stuff. You know, professional weirdo, I guess. But yeah, I know quite a
butterfly
bit
effect.
about that too. But
Mm.
yeah, somewhat.
Oh man.
But
What about the oh go ahead. Sorry there. Go ahead.
yeah, but yeah, this Wendigo guy too. I'm not sure if he's like. I think it's more of a spirit, an evil spirit, than more of a being. I hate to take some pieces out of 40K uh, gaming system, but they do talk about being possessed by a spirit, and they do say they have dreams. So if spirits, evil spirits, you have dreams, be careful of your dreams. Some they're just not there just to be there. So protect yourself, take care of yourself. Most likely better, take care of each other, uh, especially with all the spooky stuff Chris talked about with the whole uh, uh and the whole 40 uh the whole AI stuff. Yeah, so be careful out there, you know. But yeah, what else you got on these little people out there?
Oh
What
yeah.
you
So
got
what I was
anything
gonna
on that
ask.
stuff too?
I like
Yeah,
to hear about the little people. Sounds
I wish I
interesting.
knew more. I'll be talking to my cousin there, and I think he has got some more stories too from the rest that he would know more than I do growing up there. The little
Mhm.
people is something that fascinates me as well, because the stories and legends of little people are as old, if not older, than Bigfoot himself in the
right.
Americas. And actually, it's not just in the Americas. That there's depictions of a crane pygmy war. Um, it's depicted on pottery, ancient pottery, and you see these giant cranes and these pygmies, these little people, these proto pygmies, right?
Mm,
This goes back a long way. Um, I find that stuff fascinating. So I kind of put them into the same box with this crane pygmy war, these little people and the little people that have been all over the Americas. I find it a fascinating subject that they're just little tiny people. But from everything I've told, that they look, um, the ones I've been told about, they just look like little natives.
Yeah.
And the ones I've been told about did have clothing. So
mm,
they must make their own clothing, but
yeah.
Mhm.
very strange. I'd like to learn more about it because I think it's something that went through a gap where it wasn't talked about. And I think we touched on this yesterday in brief conversation where sometimes these things in native communities aren't really talked about in the open. It's kind of taboo. And I think your podcast is changing that, which is really important. That it's not taboo to talk about. I understand the feelings behind if you talk about it, are you attracting it, or are you talking about it because of knowledge? So I think there was a gap with the little people, especially in Canada, because there's just seems to be not in as many stories as the Bigfoot stuff. And I know from where my grandma and grandfather, great grandfather are from, it's a little bit different about talking about things. And in Alaska, from my knowledge in Alaska, if you even mention Bigfoot or the hairy man in a native community, you can be pretty much shunned right away. You're shut down, as they do see it as a bad omen, and that you will bring that sort of issue to them. And they take it very serious because they are up there and they got to deal with them and have dealt with them for generations up there. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing
That is
here,
very
guys. You guys should. Oh, sorry, Darren. When you guys should check out Hulu. There's this one Native American film called Blood and Myth about the little people, where it drove this actor. He was acting with Disney Channel. I can't remember the movie off the top of my head, but he's a Inuviac person, and he became an actor. He became famous, and and he started drinking, and he started seeing the little people, and somehow, some way, his mom got strangled up. They killed his mom, and he said that it was them, it wasn't him. And when they tried asking him how, he just said that you guys will never ever believe me how it happened. Like, he started talking to little people. He shot 2 dudes, and he was on the run from the police up there in Alaska. And
That's crazy.
they finally, Blood and Myth. You guys should really check that out. And
Yeah, I like that.
as they told him, as they were speaking with him, that they said that why are you people not singing the old songs? Why are you guys not practicing your old ways? You guys need to go back to your ways. They really told him that you guys need to go back to sing the old songs, do the old dances right now. It's not right. You guys aren't doing that anymore. That's what the film. Really good film. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, I'd like to.
That's a killing message too amongst itself. Some of the songs are not being sung no more. Some of the dances not being performed. Just everybody's just being.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, everybody just seems to be, cookie cutouts of one another. Everybody tries to want the same thing, but I think just having the other Native American tribes out there, it sets us apart, as a group, as a group of people, and with them, they all have their songs. I'm always looking up stuff like these, man. I always find that stuff really fascinating, and hearing other people, these other tribes sing and dance, and even the little kids, man. I always see that. I always put the smile on my face when I see the younger generation singing and dancing. It's really good. It's really good stuff. Especially out there in the White Mountains, White Mountain Apache. I always see the little younger kids out there, singing and dancing. So that's good. Good for them. And I really respect that. And, with them, they also come with different stories. Everybody seems to have their own boogeyman. Their own monsters in the trees. And I guess the whole idea for the podcast too is to
reclaim.
Is to to gather some of these stories and catalog them. Not to make a profit out of it, but just to record and document them amongst themselves. To that, time out. I need to check the puppies real quick.
It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, even the name of your podcast reminds me of the Haida depictions. Well, not just Haida, but there's a lot of depictions of Bigfoot, and his lips are always pursed and whistle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, like we were talking yesterday about Skinwalker and a whistle. There's a lot of weird stuff with just whistling at night. I mean, it's a very deeply, and that's another thing. That's not just Canada and the United States in the Native communities. That seems to be a thing, right? Don't whistle
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah, even in Mexico, they said the same thing too. They said don't whistle at night at all
Isn't
because
that something?
they have two different types of Sasquatches down there. It's pretty amazing. I invited a gentleman down there to join the podcast, and they have all kinds of crazy creatures down that way, similar to here. At the same time, way different from ours up this way, and it's really interesting and fascinating to hear from another culture, to hear from
Yeah.
another tribe and their monsters and how they say Sasquatch in their language. And Mexico is two ways to say Sasquatch. And I know Navajo, we have three names for him. And oh yeah, which leads me to another question here. I have two questions actually. One, we'll go back to your Sasquatch encounter. Do you think that this guy just came out of the trees or out of the bushes, or you think he just appeared and just
That's such a good question. It's such a good question because there's been times when I think about it a lot. And hindsight is 2020. Sometimes you get more clarification the longer you ponder something. Yeah, I don't know. There was so much thinking back on it, the way I felt, the irrational panic and fear. Some of the stories I've heard about the Sasquatch being like a super shaman, that he can appear and reappear. I can't definitively say. Perhaps he did just appear. I don't know. It does make me wonder. I don't think I'll ever have the answer to that. I mean, at the very early years when this has happened, I would have said it's a flesh and blood, absolutely. But the more I think on it, the more that cough I heard and felt, the confusion, the panic that set in, was like I was being induced with that panic. Was I induced because of something natural from a different creature? Or was I induced because this thing is from perhaps a different dimension? Or has the capabilities of slipping in and out? I don't know. But I would be a fool to say one, not the other. I don't know. I'm not an expert on anything. There's a lot of hypotheses. I just try to make the sense out of it. And if I'm ever wrong about anything, I'm wrong about it. But the more the years go on and the more I think about it and the more I read other encounters, even if a small percentile is factual, that's the money right there. And that's the way I look at all the Bigfoot stuff is if you can discount it to something, oh yeah, you're misidentifying those tracks, you're doing this, that's what you want to do. You want to put all the stuff and discount it first. That's what you want to do. You want to be not skeptical, you want to be data driven. And what you left, if you're left with a pile after, that's the goal. That's what you got to dig into. And if that's the real stuff, then there's something that we don't understand. I think the easy answer is to say it's a primate. Well, we don't know that. I don't know it's a primate. It looks like a primate. Doesn't mean it's a primate. We don't know. Because of all the different things in my experience, and then when you read about orbs, there are orbs in a lot of accounts. There are UFOs that show up. Now you're starting to go, this is crazy. This is crazy. How can now we got UFOs? The Loch Ness is going to come next, and how silly does it start to sound? But it's like maybe it's not that silly. Maybe we just don't understand. Is that reality at that time being projected onto us, and that's what they want us to see? And that's what they want us to experience. I really don't know. When I hear different stories of this metallic door-like sound being like metal on metal opening in several of these dogmen and Bigfoot encounters. Okay, so if 99% of those people are full of crap, what about those 1% that aren't full of crap and did hear that? This changes the game, and I can't be egotistical and think that I know the answer because I definitely don't. But in my own encounter, I absolutely do think of was this like, it did not feel like I bumped into a moose. I wouldn't have ran. Things were different. I acted different. So yeah, maybe not. Maybe he did appear. Maybe I bumped into something, and because I couldn't see it, I'd heard it and felt it, and I heard the noise. Had I been meant, maybe I was meant to just turn around, but I didn't. I was locked in place, and it appeared. I don't know. Now it's starting to sound a little woo, and I'm okay with that because it's a long time ago. That was like 1995, 96 that happened. Now the other thing that bothers me is having multiple experiences. So now I get to, and I think Darren, I think you had said on my first podcast with you guys, do you think that you have had multiple encounters because of your involvement in the occult in the past? And I think that's a very valid question. And I think that there is some validity to that. I think if you're open or have been open to it in the past, maybe certain things that are on the other side are easily attracted to you or easily more connected to reach out and poke you and touch you and mess with you a little bit. Not saying that Bigfoots and Sasquatches are nefarious. They could be. I know my feeling wasn't warm and cuddly when I saw it. I got the heck out of there. And I had a loaded weapon at the time. Yet my rational mind as a hunter didn't say fire. It said run. Right? But no, that's such a great question, Don. And I just don't know. But I'm leaning more towards we know less about these creatures the more people have encounters than we thought we did.
Yeah. And another important question, this is probably the most important one. When you soiled yourself, did it help you run faster? Like lube?
I did not soil myself. No, I have heard have. But no, I didn't. No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't tell you anyway.
Right.
No.
We covered that. All right. Now I feel better you answered that. No, just kidding. Another question. Have you ever whistled at the Northern Lights? And if not, you should vlog it.
I don't think I've thought about doing it. I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, I see them all the time out my bedroom window. Just the other night. Yeah, I got some pictures I'll send you. So next time I'll get it on video. I'll whistle just because.
Oh man, Peter Pan and Neverland. Here he comes. Oh man.
I get scared though. Hey.
Oh man. Oh geez. During your time being in the cult, what was the most demonic or craziest thing that ever happened to you, or you seen happen, like during a ritual or sacrificing somebody, or no, just kidding, anything like that?
Me? I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen what I believe my dad was possessed at one point, and things in him physically changed. It wasn't like Hollywood. It was much more tangible than that. But everything changed. He was already not a nice guy. But things had changed. I'd noticed a serious change. His pallor was more gray. His attitude was very despondent, almost like he wasn't there, like somebody else was there. He started to smell. He stopped bathing. He actually answered more in grunts, if he answered at all. And this went on for some time. And I didn't know it at the time, but I guess there was a woman he was involved with, and she wouldn't come. She tried to come to the apartment a couple times, but the last time she wouldn't enter because she said there was a black being inside the home, and it was looking right at her. And she kind of said, "What is going on here?" And I don't know if he explained anything, but she never came back. But I never saw that. I grew up in it, so the oppressiveness was normal, right? It's not normal, but you get used to it. You get acclimatized to it, and you get oppressed, and you don't really know any better. But my dad was definitely, there was a period there where he was not himself. And strange things around the house were happening. There was a lot of strange stuff. Things would move around. Things would disappear often. You would turn around and whatever you had just then is absolutely gone. A lot of strange stuff had happened. And I'm not so sure if that was a full-fledged possession or serious oppression. It seems to be a little bit more to me. But yeah, he did change a lot. He didn't even look like himself. And I don't mean his face changed and contorted. But if you can imagine how everybody's face changes with emotions, right? You can tell when somebody's angry, somebody's sad. It's similar to that, but something residing in a person changes them physically. And that could even be, they could look skinnier, they could look bigger, just because of that indwelling ick. Just call it ick, right? Yeah.
Like, how can you tell, like, when you tell someone's intoxicated or on a drug, like a different drug, you can tell in a way.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
There's an air about it, right? But with this, there's an almost tangible evil. You know that you're in the presence of something that's far more serious, in a way to put it. Yeah.
We got a question here from a viewer. Joe Andy McLeod. I believe there's a parallel universe where Bigfoot can walk through, pop up in different areas. Some also wander throughout the hills and mountains across us. Oh yeah, possibly, huh? And Hongun Aho from California. Nice to see it. Nice of you to drop in with us, Hon. Mr. Curly, the old songs are forgotten or made up. Oh, talking about the earlier. Oh yeah. Hey Darren, you got any questions for you? What up, Chris? Oh,
cool.
Darren, can't hear you.
Oh,
there you
go. Did he leave any of his books or anything? Was this an oral, verbal communication, or was it everything written down type deal? Information drawn from
regarding my dad?
Yeah, regarding the cult. I think there's different cults. You think of your famous cults where they drink the Kool-Aid and that's it. But this is not one of those cults. This is your hidden your hidden information cult. So
most of it for me was hands-on learning as a young boy. It was all hands-on learning. When he died, I went out to take care of his place, and there was stuff there. My father-in-law ended up following me out there because I never dealt with a funeral, he didn't actually have a funeral, or dealing with lawyers to do with death and all that stuff. So he came out to give me a hand because it was a bit overwhelming, and I had to go through his material. And I had told my father-in-law, obviously, about my dad and the occult. I mean, I didn't get into my deep dive, but he knew. He was pretty terrified when he had to stay there. He was pretty terrified. But there was ritual books and stuff like that, and idols and stuff that I did burn. I did get rid of. I did pray over them, and I saved one for the end. And I started having a lot of dreams about this particular idols issues, and I remember having those when I was young. And the idol had a name, which I won't name. But I started having these dreams about snakes a lot and getting bit and getting overwhelmed. And I called a buddy in Ontario that I went to high school with, freakishly enough, and he's a Coptic Christian. So we were kind of unified in our thoughts on a lot of levels. And I said, Max, dude, I'm having an issue with this thing. There's one thing left of my dad's stuff that I haven't got rid of yet. And I've been having these dreams. And I talked to him about it. He goes, I'm coming over, start a fire. And that's exactly what we did. It was like 8 a.m. And he came over. He didn't live that far away. And we prayed together. And got rid of it. We smashed it to pieces, but I had to smash it, and then burned it. And that was the last of that. Actually, that wasn't quite the last. That was the last of the occult, the heavy occult stuff. But then I had some of his personal belongings, and a lot of his personal belongings that I had were stuff that were very racist. So there was stuff to do with KKK. There was stuff to do with the United Front. There was stuff that he wrote on his helmet because he was a jockey when he was a young guy that had a lot of Nazi stuff on it and really terrible racial crap. It was in a box that I had, and I felt like we were being a bit oppressed by something, and I didn't know what. And just to be on the safe side, it's like working out, right? You got to keep in shape. Spiritually, you got to do the same thing. So I had some people come over, and I burnt the rest of his belongings. I don't even know why I held on to them. Just basically because it was, I didn't really, there was a big closure issue there with my dad because we were estranged for so long. You kind of mourn the person who was, you mourn the person who wasn't, and you mourn the person who could have been if they were whole and loving. So it took me a long time to actually get rid of his ashes. I didn't have a funeral for him because there would have been nobody that would have came anyway. So I held on to his ashes for almost 10 years. And I don't even know why. And the rest of his stuff, I didn't look at it. It just was there. And it was a point where I had to let all of it go. And when I did that, like I burnt the rest of his belongings that were just vitriolic garbage, I also got rid of his ashes. Yeah. There's a kind of funny story. You want to hear a funny story about his ashes?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went up to Fort Erie, Ontario, where I'd spent every summer. And there was a place where I used to go fishing for bass off this little bridge. And there was a trail down there where there was a bunch of trees I used to ride my bike. And when I was young, there was a felled tree right there that was snapped from the forest and was just poking out. And my dad wanted to come for a bike ride with me. So I just no longer said, be careful that you don't wipe out here because there's a log. Well, soon I just said it. And he wiped out and the log went right through his leg. Anyway, I took his ashes to that spot. And there was a cup, like a little goblet that he used to like to drink out of. So I scooped part of his ashes and I was going to throw it off the bridge. And my son said, Dad, what is that? I'm like, what? He goes, what is that in the cup? And here in the cup is a little titanium screw because a horse had kicked him and bust his leg in 3 places. And they had to put titanium screws in his leg. So I knew it was actually his ashes. So I picked it out and I threw 1 cup and then I put the rest away and I held on to it. But it's kind of a funny story, but it's true. So I knew the ashes were his because here's his surgical screw, right? Yeah. Morbid, but I chuckle every time I think about it.
And one more thing. Do you know the name of this cult, or do they have a sign that they have?
I never, like Dad would, I know he would meet with other people. I was never involved in that. It never came to light that it was a coven or it was a sect. My dad was pretty much a loner anyway. I really don't know any of that, if there was. I do know that he was in touch with certain people, for sure. Whether they were unified at all, I don't know. They were never at my place growing up. Nobody ever came to our house. So I don't know. I don't know if he was a bit rogue. I don't know. I just know that the other people that he was involved with were a lot more affluent. Yeah. Even to the point where they're in touch with, government and aristocracy and stuff like that. But I was never involved with aristocracy. No. Yeah.
Well, that's even disturbing. Just saying that these higher ups, they're into this occult stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's strange. It is. Yeah.
One of the weirdest things I heard on the the occult around America is all those missing people that you see at Walmart and you see across the way, they're gone. But when you go to remote areas, like in the mountains of the United States, or very remote areas where you would hear people crying, and when you would locate it, it would be like a cage, like a dungeon inside of a mountain. Like all kinds of people are locked up in there, and certain times of the season, they all get mass sacrificed, like they're doing dark things, the deep higher levels of the occult. And that's one of
Right.
the things that I've heard. That's where all the missing people end up, because they got to do their things every season. They're wishing ill will on everybody across the whole world. That's one of the things that they do. I heard.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you hear anything like that,
there's
Chris?
a lot of dark, weird stuff when it comes to that. There's even things going on right now as we're speaking with a cartel across the border. What they're actually doing is they're abducting pregnant women, and they are doing procedures to extract that baby, whether the mom lives or dies. Usually they die, and then they will sell that baby to whatever purposes. I was told at a younger age that they're used to. I'm not sure if there is now. I'm not sure. I suspect still, I don't know, that there was a breeding program where certain women were used as breeders, and that those babies were used for different rituals around the world. Yeah, very dark stuff. But
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
They would have a certain lady like in the set, like that was her job, was to produce, and they would. That's things I heard is pretty gnarly like that.
it is. It's depravity. But I mean, a lot of depravity humans are capable of. But when you mix something that is a lot more smarter than you, that is angelic and demonic, influencing, like then you're into some very, very dark stuff. A lot of the cult stuff that Darren might have been alluding to, I know there's several cults like in the 60s and 70s. Like I said, there's little compartmentalizations of the occult and cults. A lot of the things are red herrings and used for different purposes, like the Zodiac killers, like the Zodiac killings in the 60s and the Son of Sam stuff. That was cult stuff. Those were all setups. But the things that happened with those murders those were snuff films, and nobody's really touched on that. But those murders took place because they were videotaped. They were set up, and those videotapes go around the echelon of these sick sycophants that get off on this stuff, and it's sold and it's collected, and yeah. So the first Zodiac killing that happened was definitely videotaped. Yeah. Yeah, it was videotaped, and it was meant to be videotaped. And some of it had to do with the Process Church. The Process Church is connected to Manson in a roundabout way. And Manson has connections to all other places. But the Son of Sam, the guy, David Berkowitz, that supposedly got set up for it, he's definitely involved. But yeah, he didn't do all those killings. No, there's a deep cult there. Yeah.
For sure, there's a lot of hidden information that seems to be played out on TV, stuff like that. There's always little bits of information that you would sit there and you watch a movie and you sit there like wait. But at the end, this podcast, it's it was more of a paranormal, but I think one of the greatest horrors of this world are man and women, but themselves. What greater monsters are there than I hate to say it, but people, humans. There's so much stuff that even in history, there's a lot of bloodshed. There's a lot of occult myths, and there's a lot people have been dabbling in stuff they shouldn't had never been dabbled in. Such as these occult information, sects like this, even this whole Epstein thing. It's music, the whole thing. They're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. And there's a lot of scary stuff that walks around on the streets, outside,
Yeah.
there's these monsters that,
Yeah.
you talk about monsters hiding under the bed, that monster could be a man, see lights in the eyes in the trees, it, what is the possibility of it being, a predator, a scary, your killer, your people that deprive work on the weak people, the weak and
Yeah.
sort them out, So this is just another warning, to everybody who's listening. Most monsters are, uh, you know, us. Hate to say it like that, but
Aaron,
there's a lot of.
you got some occult activity going on in Candy Kitchen, huh? Your neck of the woods over there.
Oh yeah,
Neck of the
we
woods
actually
over
had
there?
a cult out there about 10 miles. If you drive in a straight line, 10 miles, they had a cult that was out there in the fence lake, and it's one of the rare cults that it was female. The monarch was a woman, so uh, you can drive over there. You can take a look at it. It's up
Amazonians,
for
huh?
a million. Yeah, it's up
Oh,
for
wow.
$1 million auction. So even my grandmother, uh, they drove past this area once, and um, they had fire torches up, and my grandmother, she's like, "What are they doing? Why are they wearing these red or these white hoods? What are they?" And they tried to explain it to her like it's a cult. They're doing cult stuff. And my grandmother, she didn't know what it was. She had no idea. I don't think there is a word for it. In Navajo, the cult. But this is stuff that happens out in the area, which just adds more to uh, the mysterious what's going on in this area. That uh, I lay down. Where I rest my head. Back at the house. It makes you wonder, like, what is going on really in this area. And like I was telling you, yes, last night, there you got videos of stuff moving around, poltergeist activity, stuff in the trees. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this area, and it just makes you wonder what it is. I always wondered, and it seems like every time I put a finger down like on it, and then something else pops up. This cult business was one of them too. So whatever is going on where um, where I sleep, where I go home, place where I call home, what's really going on back at the house. But when I say a lot of stuff goes on, I mean it. I am just dead serious about
Yeah.
how weird it is.
Definitely, definitely, definitely a lot of things. We should all document it. Everyone out there should record, get some security cameras inside and outside. Buy a Sony digital recorder, leave it outside because I captured Woodknock and some kind of conversation going on. Going outside of I was sleeping outside in my vehicle, and I had the Sony digital recording, and I captured a female and a male conversating in Navajo. And
Oh,
the skinwalkers are a cult. It's basically a death cult. It's a satanic death cult, actually. That's the core of it. It all got perverted. And from the knowledge of the cult, like from the very origins where it all started, I remember reading in the Bible, it all started from ancient Babylon, the ancient religions of Babylon. So all these cult, the Freemasons, are all repeating all the way from back in the time of the Tower of Babel.
mhm.
So it's very ancient teachings of men, ancient man's way, man's religion, all that, to music, to literature, to
Yeah.
right now what's going on right now, everything, the Mark of Cain, all that all ties in together, you know. But
I think music has
yeah,
a huge thing to do with where we're at as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's a massive thing. As a musician myself, there's a pile of music that I've gotten rid of. Even Plato talked about how difficult it is to have unwholesome music and what it can do to a society. Can music instill? Well, of course it can. It can instill feelings of happiness, rage, fear, sadness. Now we're talking frequency, so now we can get into a different level of what that's all about. But even predictive programming in TV, cartoons, movies, even to how. Here's something I'll trip out on you guys. Back in the 80s, I remember talking about this. I was a teenager, and the N word started to be using in music and in popular movies. And I remember sitting there talking with my buddies, like, how is this actually happening? How is this allowed to happen? And then the thing is, here's the psycho part of it, right? Psychological game is the Black community can call each other this word, and it's like, is this a term of endearment? You think this is a good thing? This is a very powerful thing you're playing with. It's almost a spell. It's almost a curse. And when people that are outside of your community, whether it be white, Asian, doesn't matter what it is, hear you saying this word to each other, we automatically, across the globe, will dehumanize you to, oh, maybe you are that word then. It's just like using the B word to a woman. You now dehumanize her and you make her an object of what that word is. It sounds like a curse, doesn't it? So now you hear this N word everywhere, and you don't think that's going to break the entirety, not just the Black communities down in the culture, but all culture. All communities are going to be broken down. How did this get tripped into music and Hollywood? If this isn't a psychological plan to break things down, break the fabric of society down, to make sure that now we can instill what we want you to identify with.
Oh yeah, that's what we seen.
Yeah,
time again.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That really does make sense. We always yesterday I talked about music being a source of witchcraft. Even amongst itself, even just the words that we speak. We speak from our soul. So you can either curse or bless someone else by the words of your mouth, and that's just how us beings are. We're meant to speak to each other and meant to learn from one another, more or less help one another. Inspire some people, other people, by speaking up. And I think us having this podcast does do that. We are helping people as much. Like you're saying, it was a taboo. Talk about it, but right now it's want everybody to know, like, it's okay. It's fine. This is what happened. And a lot of people can relate to most of these stories that we talk, and people that we have on. They can relate to some of these life experiences that people go through. As a society, I think, as a group, a culture, we should be able to talk about it and not get carried away with it, but it just brings the mystery of life. What's really going on in this world that we're living in, and how it works and how it functions. Maybe it don't mean nothing at the end. Maybe it doesn't. When we pass away, it just might seem like, oh, that was weird. And then you go on and you go be with the creator. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of learning experiences that we have to accomplish in our lives for ourselves, to be better humans, what we're meant to be, what we're formed to be, what we're made to be. So it's, for me, it's good to talk. It's good to talk, and it's also better to listen.
I'm gonna step in and weird it out right now, okay, guys. Sorry, but have you ever, speaking of Manson and music and all his connections, like he had a connection with the Beatles at one time, right? And then like one of these songs of on the Beatles, you hear a female voice like just like and then when they replayed it backwards, it was a female saying John. Then later on, John Lennon died. And like Metallica, I can't remember what song it was, but when you listen to the very end, after that lady's singing that creepy note, that la 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 la, that part. So at the very end, the very end, you turn it up really loud and you can hear an audible voice say, at least say hello, and
Creepy.
that's what they want you to do. Like when you play with the Ouija board, they
Yeah.
want to communicate. They want you to say, "Come and talk to me." They crave that. So
For sure.
Yeah.
that's one thing
It's
about music. The weird thing.
Manson also had a connection to the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
Oh,
He
yeah, like
actually
he was,
he was friends with, I think it was Brian. No, it wasn't Brian Wilson. It's one of the Wilson brothers, and he actually did some recordings.
oh,
Apparently, he was a bit of a talent, but it didn't go anywhere. But I think Guns N' Roses did record a couple of his songs. There are out there. Yeah, they are out there. I'm
yeah,
not sure if the original Manson one's out there. I think it is. But yeah, he definitely had ties. I had heard a story that on the set of Rosemary's Baby,
oh, yeah, that movie.
somebody,
Oh.
this is before the thing happened, that there was Helter Skelter written there. Whether that's true or not,
Yeah.
I don't know. But Polanski, who directed that film, he's a freak in his own right. He was.
Yeah.
That's why he's never been back to America, because he was on for, I think it was a sodomization of an underage girl. He raped her. He's never been back. That whole scene. I mean, there. Then again, it's the weird and it's the occult involvement. I even saw it, unfortunately, with this Charlie Kirk thing. I mean, it didn't take long for me to see a few things that shouldn't be there. And it pointed to other stuff. Now, I don't believe the narrative that was told at all. Unfortunately, I had to watch a few videos of his assassination, which is absolutely horrible. I don't recommend it. But there's a few truths there that narrative is not the narrative that happened. That's just the way it is. And there is occult stuff in there. Now, whether it is that occult segment of people that actually was involved or somebody is setting them up to make them look like they're involved, I don't know. I do know that the overtones of that entire thing, somebody knows the occult and knows what they were talking about. Just for the setup. Yeah. And look at what happened.
Right.
I mean, the vitriol. Darren, you were talking about humans, mankind being that vitriolic, and look what happened after. There's people celebrating the assassination of somebody in front of thousands of people, in front of his wife and children, celebrating. Now that is depravity. I don't care if you liked them. I don't care if you agreed with them. That is a type of sickness. That is something wrong. That, to me, yes, that's the depravity of humankind, but I think that's also aided on by the prince of the power of the world right now that's in power, which is, I would say, Lucifer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like I was saying, the first coup was in heaven. He tried to, like the military coup, they try and take over military. Same thing, all started in heaven, that's why he has to remake a new heaven and a new earth eventually, because sin started there, in the presence of God, and then he came down here. So, like everything like mimics from the spirit realm to here, like that occult saying, as above, so below.
Right, there you go.
And it replays down here. There's a lot of things that we got to keep our eyes open. We got to be vigilant. We can't we can't die of lack of information. We need to be well informed, and we need to communicate with each other, and especially when it comes to someone's life and what they believe in. Like we all shouldn't celebrate someone passed away. Someone has a wife and kids. All of us have our wife and kids too, and if we were to get taken away like someone did, then how would they feel? How would our family feel? Like I work in the trenches every day. Construction, this is off the topic, but another guy died another day a trench collapsed on him, and he was only in a 6-foot trench, and I was in a 20-foot trench. And just then when you do the math, a cubic feet of sand 3x3 that weighs like over 1,000 pounds, really heavy. So when that thing falls on you, it's gonna crush your lungs, you know, the bones, your rib cage is gonna puncture your lungs.
Mhm.
So a lot of death is always around, you know, and you got to be careful. But I kind of lost where I was going with that point. But death is always around, and you know, as above, so below. Make sure you guys all look after one another, and make sure you whatever you're doing at work, make sure you go home to your wife and your kids.
Yeah.
And Darren, you got any more questions? We're at the 1 hour and 45 minute marker here,
Holy.
guys.
All right. You know, it went. You know, I like this podcast. There's a lot. It makes you think. It makes you think more about what's really going on in the, you know, the media, and you know, uh, people. You know, we shouldn't be tuning in. You know, to the local news every now and then. You know, it's good to, you know, sit there and talk with your family. You sit down and eat together. You know,
Yes.
I can remember being a younger kid and having the whole family sit down and eat. You know, that's something I wish we would do a bit more. But you know,
Oh
everybody
yeah.
gets older, everybody goes in different ways. But you know,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. You know, it really gets the hamster in my head running when, you know, people talk. You know, they talk. You know, like yourself, and you have your what you've been through, your life experiences, and you know what you see happening in this world. You know,
Mm.
and you know, there's people out there that think like this. You know, and that's how it should be. You know,
Mm.
always question. You know, always question everything. You know, they say, but you know, you got to be people out there to fight the machine, I guess you would say.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, yeah, thank you for coming on and, you know,
Thanks for having
sharing
me on.
your
Yeah.
ideas. And
And I think it's
uh,
important about to people to share their experiences. From my perspective as an ex-occultist, it's what the occult wants is for you to hold that, to cherish that memory, to not talk about it, because then it's part of you. It's got its claws in you. What it doesn't want is to you express how you feel about it and what happened. So that taboo keeps you a prisoner of your experiences, whether they're paranormal, poltergeist, it doesn't matter what it is. So for you to share, to have the courage to talk about it, the occult doesn't like that because it's not hidden. And occult loves to be hidden, especially in
right,
plain sight. So everybody doesn't know, but it knows. And it's been out in the public, so that's all it needs. So I think your podcast, guys, is super important. And I think for people to share, um, what they've been through is a good thing because there is a certain amount of oppression, depression, and trauma to some extent that can happen to the severity of some of these things, whether you're involved in the cult, whether you're involved in the occult, whether you dabble, whether you've seen cryptids. It's good to talk about these things because the occult, I will say sentiently, wants to keep it closed doors and hidden because then it's hidden. And the only thing that flushes darkness out is the light. And the darkness will recede from that. So I encourage everybody, all your listeners, to, yeah, if you got an experience, talk to the Y2s.
Oh yeah.
That's you guys.
yep.
Oh yeah. The double
No,
D's.
very good, very good.
Double
Yeah,
trouble. No, just kidding. Oh
yeah,
yeah. Hey,
yeah. Well
that's
said.
right
You
on
know,
the hat right there.
well said.
Well said. Oh yeah.
And that is, yeah,
Um
pretty much what kind of built the foundation of this the podcast is. You know, to talk about it, talk more about it. You know, if you don't feel comfortable, you know, being in front of the viewers, you know, we can always work something out, and you know, more information, the better. And you know, if we can help people, you know, we'll help people. This is what the purpose of the podcast is, to help. You know, to let people know that you're not crazy. You know,
That's right.
that's for me. I've always been that guy talking about lights in the trees and, you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, someone I talk more about it. And people talk, you know, like, oh yeah, we've seen that too. You know, yeah. All right, like I was telling, I picked up a father and a son back at the house too, and I took him to go, you know, get some hay, take him into town, and the father is laughing at his son, because he's talking about these lights. And I told him, like, hey, here, I got some video. I know about this too. Take a look at it. I had like 20 different videos. And
Wow.
after a while, he's like, see, I told you, I told you, Dad, I told you, stuff like that's just going on. And the dad was sitting there literally just looking at the videos that I had of these lights in the sky. So at the end of the day, uh, something's going on, and this is one thing you should do. Talk about it.
Yep.
So saying that, thank you for chatting. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Before we head out, we'll say the laters from our guests here, or from our viewers here. They want to say laters real quick. Hello, Don and Darren and Chris. Much love from Boulder. Just got home and stopped in to say hello and show some love. Oh, thank you, Heidi.
Nice.
Thanks for stopping in. And Johnny Hoskins. Oh, come on, late again. Glad to be here anyways. Yep. Hey, glad for you to hop in on us, Johnny. Z Sun Dragon, great show, guys.
Oh, thank you,
guys. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
And that girl 84, heart, star. Oh yeah, sleep tight. Thank you guys for joining us here. Yeah, as far as oh yeah. I remember I wanted to ask you. You guys have your own lake monster up there, right? Was it Ogopogo, right?
Ogopogo, yeah. Yeah. It's funny enough, Ogopogo spelled backwards is Ogopogo.
Yeah.
Who would know?
Not Illuminati. Spelled backwards both ways. So, man, I just had to the show too. So,
yeah.
So my cousin actually.
My cousin actually lives right on the lake. You could literally spit off his back porch into the lake, and the res is right at the head of the lake. So Squally Point is down yet from him, but that's the old stomping grounds. They say Squally Point was where the creature was seen a lot. But there's a lot of videos out there. Everybody believes it's fact. I don't know anybody that lives out there that thinks it's not. The Okanagan Indians out there have long believed, and they used to throw stuff off the canoes, live birds and stuff. So they would get those, and they could get the heck out of there and canoe past Squally Point, so they wouldn't get attacked, right? Yeah. But yeah, very much.
So definitely.
Oh, here, hold on.
3. Oh, part 3. We gotta bring you back on, and there it is.
Nice.
Pogo.
Yeah.
So the next time we bring you back on, we'll definitely go in more with the Wendigo and Ogopogo. How about that?
Will do. I will locate those books so I have those chapters paged out. We can I'll photocopy them and everything.
Nice.
Oh man, that is what's up.
Another
last hello from Mish. Hello.
Hello.
Funny enough, played backwards is funny enough. All right, guys. I'm trying to think if I have any more final questions for you. But other than that, though, I think we'll just take this show in for a landing right now. And
awesome.
Zach there today.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share.
Oh yes.
Share, spread the word.
Yes.
So
yeah. Don't be a turd. Spread the word. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys. Everyone's just getting freebies, man. Like a lot of people are listening and watching, and they're not subscribing. They're not liking. So please do me a favor. Don't be a cherry picker, please.
Free to like and subscribe.
Yeah. We appreciate that. And other than that, though, we're gonna take this in for a landing. Chris and Darren, or we'll go with Chris first. You want to say laters to everyone? Then we'll go with Darren.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and catch you next time.
All right, Chris. We'll
Likewise.
catch you again later.
Likewise. Thank you. Learned a lot.
Oh yeah, for real, huh? Every time, every episode, we learn something new. Like I love doing this. You want to say your laters, Darren? Say laters to everybody. Say goodbye.
Laters. You guys have a good one. Everybody have a good one. Tune in next week.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll say hi, everyone. Say later to Darren. All right. Well, it's about that time again, guys. I'd like to say thank you for tuning in to Don't Whistle at Night. We've been broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And I'd like to say thank you to Ry Voss for the lovely intro. It's fire, it's bomb, whatever you want to call it. We love it. From Ry Voss from Codega's Codex of Curiosity. And if you were here, you were on the last show with Sean Kelly, Into the Night. We like to give him a shout out for handing the torch on to us. So you guys have a great night. Enjoy your week. Make sure you stretch your back, lift properly. We'll see you Sunday. Goodbye. Oh, keep your eyes open out there. Stay weird. Don't whistle at night. Bye.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.